Hello, hope we're all well and safe. So, as you can probably tell, I'm feeling rather tired today because of this thing and because I had an appointment at the hospital this morning to do with my eyes, to put some stuff in my eyes that made my eyes go a bit blurry for a couple of hours and didn't think I'd get any content out. But I'm here, and as you can tell by the title of today's video, we're going to be talking about the playoff final. Now, I know it's a couple of months late. Don't judge me on that, but I've given it a lot of thought. And it was the worst, in my opinion, the worst playoff final in history. That is correct, the worst playoff final. So we're going to be talking about the game itself, about the two teams, about the fan bases, and also about past playoffs as well, from some of the iconic ones through from League One, League Two, and the Championship, and putting them to use as well. So if you're new around here, like and subscribe, and let's get into today's video. Much appreciated. So I'm sat back and I've got my trusty iPad, so I'll be looking a lot this way to get the stats and the facts for you as well. So just a few points before we get into this. It's not because it was my team, Leeds United, that were in the playoff final, but it was two teams that have come down from the Premier League, battling for promotion. It was a very dull game, and both sets of supporters don't really want to play in the Premier League because they like the Championship. So those are just a few key points. But let's start off by talking a little bit about the game then. And looking at the two teams, Leeds had a pretty strong lineup with players in there such as Gray, Rodon, Ampadu, Somerville, Nonto, Ruta in there. And Southampton with the likes of Armstrong, Brooks, Fraser, Downs, Smallbone, Walker-Peters, Howard Bellis in there as well. And the bench, for me, could have been a little bit stronger. A few players out injured. But you've got on the likes of Dan James, Matteo Joseph, Liam Cooper, Byram and Shackleton on there as well. With, obviously, the bench for Southampton, Manning, Adams, Stewart, Rothwell, Bree, just to name a few. And they look pretty strong lineups for two newly relegated clubs in the playoffs, battling for promotion. But if you take a look at the stats of the game, Leeds actually had more shots than Southampton. Now, Southampton were very, very good defensively on the day. They had a few chances. Leeds had a few as well. But I think the downside or the downfall for Leeds was bringing on the substitutions at the wrong time. A lot of what Daniel Farke does is bring substitutions on after 70 minutes. And that really then really doesn't always work. It affects games as well. So fans are really calling on the substitutions being made early. But the shots on target, 2 for Leeds, 3 for Southampton, 1 which was being their goal. 58, Leeds had a better possession on 58 to the 42 Southampton. And the passes were 510 for Leeds and 378. And then pass accuracy as well, 84 to 80. Fouls 18, and we just don't need to go on any further. But just looking at that, there is a number. And Leeds did have the greater stats than Southampton in majority of areas. But looking at that, it was a very dull game. Southampton was very, very good defensively. They had a few chances. They got that goal, which Leeds thought it was offside, but clearly it wasn't offside. And Leeds had the chances. And I think what would have made the playoff final a lot more better was if that goal from Dan James, that one way that hit the crossbar would have gone in, because it looked like it would have been a peach of a goal, an absolute screamer. That would have been a lot better, but it just didn't go in, and I think Leeds fans got to a point where it's like, come on, and they kept having the chances that just weren't going to come, and Southampton held on for dear life and got promoted to the Premier League. Now, speaking to a lot of fans down there in the context of Leeds fans, and I know a lot of Leeds fans want to be in the Premier League because that's where the club does belong, and obviously they want to see the club back in Europe, which isn't going to happen anytime soon. the majority of Leeds fans and Southampton fans, when speaking to Southampton fans, are not fussed about playing the Premier League. They seemed like they don't want to be there. They're happy that they got promoted on the day, but they don't really want to be in the Premier League. And that's another downside to it being dull. That's another downside to it being the worst playoff final. It's such a boring game in the sense that there weren't really sort of any good moments in that. There weren't any sort of things like that when you watch it back as Sky will show it as retro, and you look back at retro playoff finals, it won't be up there. It'll be two newly promoted, two relegated sides battling for promotion, and they're not going to do anything. Nobody wants to go to the Premier League. That is the fair argument. And as well, it's not like playoff finals of years gone by when we've seen like, for example, I think we saw Blackpool West Ham when Ricardo Valverde got the goal. And that, again, is a newly relegated side, two sides, but it's historic because it was late on in the game, it was drama, it was something great. The Huddersfield game, the Huddersfield Reading in the playoff final, and so more recently with Coventry and Luton, which again, two underdog sides in the playoff final. And of course, that League One game a number of years ago when Rotherham United got promoted to the Championship. And even the League One playoff final last year was really, really epic because we saw a side that were dumped in the league by, or absolutely thrashed in the league by Bolton to go and win in the playoff final and get to the Championship. So some historic games there that this one just doesn't have the edge on it. It doesn't have the edge. It doesn't feel as symbolic. It's, like I say, it's two newly relegated sides with fan bases that don't want to see the clubs in the Premier League. And I think a lot of Leeds fans will say, we like being in the Premier League, we want to be up there because that's where we belong, but we win every week in the Championship, and the same with Southampton, win every week in the Championship. It's a thrill, it's a spill. Bottom of the league can be top of the league. So that is really where it's at, and this just doesn't justify it as well. There's one goal in it, and at the end of the day, what would have made it special and would have made it a really good playoff final was that Dan James goal going in. But Southampton got the win on the day, and it finished 1-0 Southampton, and that's that. Nothing really special about the game in terms. So that's why I think it's not the greatest playoff final. It is the worst playoff final because even the first ever one, which had Leeds United involved, was very, very good. You've got like the you've got like the ones from the 90s where it was Sunderland versus Charlton and it went to penalties. You've got like Man City in playoff final. You've got like the Barnsley Ipswich one. So many really iconic games in playoff finals that this just isn't there. It's not there. It's not there at all. It's one of those that I don't think will live long in the memory, and won't really be up there. And if it's showed on Sky, good luck, because it's not one of those retro playoff finals and never will be. But as we say, we move on, and let's hope the next playoff final is going to be a good one. And let's hope so. And let's hope that it's not Leeds United and they can go up again and do it the easier way, automatic this time. And hope Southampton have a good team in the Premier League as well. So if you're new around here, like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Much appreciated, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now. Bye. Hello. Hope we're all well and safe. So as you can probably tell, I'm feeling rather tired today because of this thing, and because I had an appointment at the hospital this morning to do with my eyes, to put some stuff in my eyes that made my eyes go a bit blurry for a couple of hours, and didn't think I'd get any content out, but I'm here. And as you can tell by the title of today's video, we're going to be talking about the playoff final. Now I know it's a couple of months late, don't judge me on that, but I've given it a lot of thought. And it was the worst, in my opinion, the worst playoff final in history. That is correct, the worst playoff final. So we're going to be talking about the game itself, about the two teams, about the fan bases, and also about past playoffs as well, from some of the iconic ones through from League One, League Two, and the Championship. and putting them to use as well. So if you're new around here, like and subscribe, and let's get into today's video. Much appreciated.